popping? Is it good? Is it hot?
Good.
Where's it? Where's
You're
it?
good. You're here.
Make it yellow. Make it yellow.
You're here. DC.
See that? You'd make a great authentic NBA coach. The sneaker collection would finally be justified.
Ooh. I don't know if you've seen this, but do me a favor and Google the New York Knicks coach, David Fizdale. A lot of people are congratulating DC on the Knicks' first win last night.
I look like I kind of look like that's my doppelganger, David Fizdale. Yeah. Fizz, you can call me good. Fizz from now on.
He looks exactly like.
Can you imagine DC as a basketball coach?
No.
I am one right now. These are the two players.
That could be a whole. That could be a whole
That's
separate podcast.
Yeah.
Right. If you read the culture code,
whose voice is that?
It talks about that leaders and coaches are two different personas.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a coach.
I am a
He's
coach.
A leader.
You're a leader.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Coaches.
I don't remember. I read
different.
that book, but I don't remember.
This is actually related. Okay, who's that voice?
That's Elias Torres. He's back for his third.
Sneaking his way in.
He caught on that his microphone actually didn't have a cord. It wasn't actually plugged in. And so we just gave him a cord.
We got him mic'd up now.
And you had me sitting on the edge of the table. Like, I felt definitely not included in this thing.
So we made some room in the table so he can sit here.
I was going to do, we were going to do Thinking Fast and Slow today. We're going to do that next week.
Okay.
We're on a consistent schedule now, in case
you
didn't know.
Because people have been asking, right?
I'm going to give you guys a secret.
What?
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that, David?
People have been asking that, wondering how come we're not on a consistent schedule at Seeking Wisdom. I've been asking DG, the young nephew, that for a while.
Absolutely no. I had a friend of mine who has become a Seeking Wisdom fan. Yeah. He's become an avid reader now. Shout out, my boy. And he calls me about 10 o'clock at night, and he says, I love Seeking Wisdom, but how come you guys are not on a consistent schedule? Don't you guys have them all pre-recorded? And like just launch them. I have to just constantly be surprised, and it's a pleasant surprise, but I just don't know when it's coming.
It's true. I hear that all the time. You know,
you can only give
so much feedback
to DG.
You can only give so much feedback to the young nephew.
Yep.
But we're still waiting for a consistent schedule.
You're right. Okay, all right. So we got that one out of the way. That's number one. Is consistency is coming. Number two is let's talk about my hotly debated trip to Europe.
So how many times have you been to Europe?
Let me tell you something. I'm at the gym this morning, and all of a sudden my phone is just ping, 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 and ping, 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 ping. And before I know, I looked over my shattered phone that I need to go fix. It said there's a thread that is DCETDG, and it said 36.
36
I haven't
messages.
even opened my phone yet. And I just knew, I had a little pit in my stomach. I'm like, 36 messages from these two before 6:30 a.m. What could this be?
And you don't know. And then how did it start? I asked David Cancel, and I said, DC, have your kids ever been to Europe?
And I said, no, you know, actually my daughter's 13 and my son is 7 years old. Neither have been to Europe yet. And the reason he said, you know what, Annie has been there. How old is Annie?
16 months.
16 months. DG's daughter. She's been Amsterdam, Dublin.
Amsterdam and Dublin.
Dublin, you know, gallivanting. Because if you don't realize,
I
the
took
young
her to
nephew.
San Diego also.
San Diego.
Yep.
My kids have never been to San Diego either. The young nephew has been gallivanting in Europe for the last 2 weeks. Kind of why we haven't had a consistent schedule here.
Partly.
Seeking Wisdom.
I was wondering if he was in the U.S. even today.
Yeah,
today.
That was the first text message. DG, are you in the U.S. today?
Yeah. So I'm here. Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. But
Gonzalo's dying.
He's dying. He's loving it. This is part of life. To see me get roasted is a very enjoyable thing.
This happens every day, by the way.
It happens every day. We're back. Anyway, so the reason I got your message this morning with my bloody finger and my shattered phone.
I told DG that they have Apple stores in Europe. You could get that fixed there.
They do.
He was too busy.
Oh, okay.
He was eating, what is it, strudel, waffles?
Hashtag SASTOck18.
No, what are the things you eat in Amsterdam?
What did I eat in Amsterdam?
I've never been to Amsterdam.
They had little pancakes.
Have you ever been to Amsterdam? I've never been to Amsterdam.
No, not yet.
It was all bread over there. So the reason I got all the text messages from you is you actually you started texting this morning about this hiring profile, and that's why Elias is here. So I would love to, as much as I would love for this whole episode to be a roast about me, it's fine. I'm okay with moving on from that. But how do we tee this up? Because what I don't want to make this is I don't want to make this about me and here's how you hired me. But I think there's a lot of good hiring lessons, and hiring is typically the most popular content that we do talk about on this show. So give me a little transition.
Absolutely. I'm here inside the office working. You guys are always traveling and speaking at places. This is my only outlet. And what happens is that the few times I'm out a year, people come and ask me, founders, CEOs, CTOs, and they're like, how can I hire someone like DG?
No,
that's what I'm looking for.
In all seriousness, Elias is saying the few times he's out, but the serious side of it is you two are actually, it's a lot. You have both invest and advise in many companies, and I think that is this common question comes up a lot.
Yeah, people want to know, and so they're asking. And the other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and I paused for a minute, or I just started talking. That's how I think outside my head, and I was thinking like, how do we find someone like DG? And that's when I came up with 3 points, right? And
on the
fly. And I practiced it. What I did is I just sent you a WhatsApp. I practiced rough draft of the thought. And I said...
I wrote them down in case you forgot.
The most important thing, right, is that David and I come from nothing. Mm-hmm. DG comes from nothing. Sort of.
More than nothing.
Worcester. It's Worcester. Yeah, it's a little bit more. But
it's nicer.
But you come from you come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen your house. I've been to Worcester. Yeah. I've been. I've seen the street where DG grew up. So if you guys want to do a pilgrimage, hit me up. I'll take you.
You'll do a bus tour.
We'll do a bus tour. And so what happened was that before, if he's in the U.S.
Yeah. He might not be here. He might be in the States.
Might not be there.
Check that I'll be there. I might be in London.
It doesn't matter. You won't be there. We'll just go by your house.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where DG grew up. These are the fields where he played, and this is the tunnel where he snuck out one time. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so what happened was I said, you got to come from humble beginnings, right? You got to come from...
Because you need to be hungry.
You need to be hungry, right? And there's a lot that we can unpack there. The second one is that you have to have this ability to get shit done, right? It's just important. Without that ability, you don't get by, in an honest, meaningful way, and you're gonna grow. And then the third thing is the one that I'm most uncomfortable talking about, and is that, especially when I'm sitting next to you, is that you got this it factor.
Don't look at me when you say it.
I know,
no, that's not the third one. The third one is humility.
No, we said that.
One was a humility.
No.
Humility comes when you also come from humble beginnings.
No,
it's
not always.
This is also a part of life. DC, retranslate.
So it's 4.
It's 4.
Okay.
So, because I think sorry to interrupt, I think the first 3 would be common or easy to find. Someone who comes from humble beginnings and they have a hunger to prove themselves. That's one thing. 2 is, so that's sort of easy to find. 2 is
do the work.
Willing to do the work. 3 is this charisma that you're going to go in here, uncomfortable, in this small room here.
In his presence.
His presence, charisma. Look, but those 3 are kind of, you could find those. Yeah. Those are sort of easy to find. The 4th one is the most important, I think. We talked about this morning. It's the hardest one to find consistently. And that's the ego-free / humility, to have the humbleness. That's the hardest one to find. I could find a whole bunch of the first 3 if you look out there. But every time we've found people like that, they usually stall out or they flame out because their ego gets in the way, and all of a sudden they think they're a big shot. They think they finally arrived. They want to go speak on panels. They want to go gallivant around. They want to go start their own podcast. They want to go do whatever they want to do, and then they stall out. And that's why humility is the most important one, because you keep refining, and you can take those daily 36 messages from us like that and keep getting better along the way. Sorry to interrupt.
That's why I don't go to panels.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that 10 years ago.
Tell them that 10 years ago.
Okay, so here's the story.
Okay.
So I leave IBM after 10 years, and I'm joining DC, right, in his startup, Lookery. And then we shut that one down, but then we started Performable. So now I'm upgrading to a co-founder of a tech startup in Boston. It's we're raising some money. We're talking to investors, and I've seen all these people that are just out there at these events all the time. And I'm thinking, now I'm gonna be part of the events. I'm gonna go to these conferences and talk to people, talk to investors. And then I tell DC, I was talking to Eric Paley, from Founder Collective. And DC is like, we have a company to build. We don't have time to be out there just talking and wasting time. We got customers to delight. We got product to build. We have to sell. We have to work. If you want to spend all your time just at events and doing that kind of stuff, I don't think this is going to work. Yeah. That was the last time I went to an event.
10 years ago.
He had a dream. He was like, I'm going to be on panels now. I'm just going to talk to
people are going to invite me to speak. Nobody invites me to speak because I'm not known, right? Because it's like I never went back. I never went back out. I was like, I'm going to stay right here put. I'm going to do my job.
He told you to get to work.
Get to work.
He said get to work.
Like, we had work to do.
And it was true, though. We wouldn't be here today if I would spend all the time out there in panels trying to have everyone hear my opinion.
100%.
So this one is like, this topic today, this came up because it was specific to marketing. A lot of people ask you looking for like to make a marketing hire, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was interesting enough. I don't know why I ended up keeping track of this. First marketing hire at Drift, we were interviewing all kinds of people. And even though I've been in marketing, I didn't really know every different role in the marketing department. And so as I was interviewing the people that DC was bringing in, I started making a spreadsheet, like a PowerPoint presentation, and I was realizing all the subtle like nuances of every role in marketing. And I was like, wow, this person is great at demand generation, right? Oh, this person is great with ads. This person is great with design. This person is great with social. And I was like, how are we going to pick someone? They all were coming from different places where they were doing one part of the marketing job. And at first realization, there's not one marketer that can do it all, right? And then you came in and you didn't know how to do any of those.
No.
And so you had your own, you had done something different. DC, what had DG done?
He had done the thing. Well, he had started this. He was working at HubSpot, but that wasn't the reason. He had been there for a little while, and it was that DG had started a side project called Tech in Boston. I was episode number 50.
Yeah.
And that's how
What
we
number
met.
was that?
Hold on.
5-0?
That's because DC was notoriously until I think until I was at Drift and said,
I think that was planned. I think that was planned.
You got to do PR. You're PRing. No, he was like this mystery man. Nobody had ever interviewed him. Maybe they didn't give him love. I don't understand, but
that's probably true.
That's true.
Maybe that's the love
and
thing.
And neither did you.
I remember how it happened. Because I had Tech in Boston,
50.
I shared a Drift. It was you guys had this party.
I was at the bottom of the list.
You had an opening party. You had this office party
in Boston.
You had an
Not
office
50
party.
worldwide.
Tech in Boston.
In Boston.
You're number 50.
I was number 50.
That's good. It keeps you humble.
I'm coming up. I'm
You
coming
got to
up.
keep your ego in check too.
I wish I could tell you who 49 was. No, he DM'd me on Twitter and he said, "We're having this party. Can you share this thing?" I said, "Yes. Will you come on my podcast?" That's how it happened.
Yeah. So he had this podcast, Tech in Boston. And what was interesting about that is that we are always looking for people who are actually go out and take the initiative and do something. Most people that we meet who meet those qualifications will be like, I want to be a marketer. I want to be an engineer. I want to be whatever. I want to join a startup. And then we'll ask, and then we'll look, and they haven't taken the time and the initiative to actually go off and do anything. They're just waiting for one day to someone like wave a magic wand and say, now you're a marketer, now you can do this. And Dave didn't do that. Dave had created a project. He had a website. He had 49 guests who were not myself. He had an email list that he was marketing to. He had social media presence for it. He had sold ads on it. He had done all of these things to promote this stuff as a side project that showed this initiative and this hunger. And that was the thing that we're like, yes.
And I think that to me, that's actually like, that is the lesson that I want people to take out of this is the you guys looking beyond for a hiring profile. And this is still a mistake that I need more reps at. And the three of us talk a lot about this in hiring, right? Is like, I think it's so easy to look at a LinkedIn profile and say, okay, we're a B2B sales and marketing company. This person was at this company, that company. Oh, they look great. Right? That person usually that looks great. I can't think of many people who are at Drift today that are successful that looked great on paper and are great. There's always something else that you have to dig into.
Absolutely. You know, a great line is the world has changed.
Yeah.
In some ways the world has changed. In some ways the world has not changed. Marketing needs someone that can grasp people's attention.
Yeah.
And that's the charisma that you have. That's the it factor that is important. And I think people what we want to encourage people to find someone to come into marketing is to look in other places, right? That is not the traditional who's doing what role in marketing, but is bring other people that are great at marketing in other ways naturally and bring them into your business, right?
Like when we were talking about this morning, the example that I used was like, as a marketer here now, the person I would rather hire somebody who you have two candidates, right? One of them has this perfect B2B sales and marketing resume. The other one is someone who is maybe at a company like that, but on the side they have a food blog and they've grown this food blog to 50,000 views and they're always on podcasts and they got videos and they have this massive social media account that they've built around that. That's the person that I think this is what like DC, one of the superpowers is finding that and saying, look, I've seen these patterns. I think if we invest in this person, they can then go apply it where I think most startup founders especially are very risk adverse when it comes to hiring and say, well, they haven't done it in this area, so I'm not sure it's going to be a good fit here.
Yeah, it's actually how I got the side project thing. I just remembered is how I got my first job at a startup, 1996, DG.
Damn.
Young. So what does that make you? 58, 48,
58, 59, something like that.
96.
ET's always inflating my age. But 1996.
I was in high school, I think.
And I got that job with 3 founders. That's what started me in startups because there was no books, there was no Google, obviously. There was nothing that you could read. But I was teaching myself about building stuff on the internet on the side. That was not my job. And because of that, I was able to meet these people and then get into what we do now. But it was 1996. You know, the first time that I went to an event like Elias, to one of these events and stuff. What year was it?
2003.
2007.
Wow.
11 years.
Well, that's why you were number 50 on the Tech and Boss.
11 years just building stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we were getting ready to sell Compete in 2007 that
I went to Miami?
I did go to Miami, yeah. And then, but I went to the first event here in Boston. And I went to an event. I met Bijan, who runs who's one of the founders of Spark Capital, and Sabat. And I met Nabil, who's also an investor now at Spark Capital. First time I met them, and they were like, I thought Compete was in California. And I was like, no, we're in Copley. And that was the first time I had ever talked to anyone in Boston in the startup world, was 11 years later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this applies to every role.
Every role.
I also met you, David, because I was working at IBM full time, but I was doing side jobs nights and weekends with a startup from Rudy Ruhana, who's our chief security officer now.
Yeah.
Who introduced us, and then we started working together. But it was a night and weekends.
And
what's how long were you at IBM?
10 years.
Yep. See,
and I never.
It's always a common thing. Like no one ever talks about the dark 10 years that people put in. Whatever, you can do it early, late, whatever, before they take that next big step. It's a very common pattern if you look at people, whether it's in sports or whatever. No one talks about that 10 years.
And we don't want to, maybe we're a little bit old school, but we don't want to say, oh, you shouldn't go to anything. We're definitely not that extremist. But just reminding people, you have to develop the discipline, the passion to get the job done, to get the work. And that's something you've been able to do here at DG. And so you got to look for someone that exhibits that, and be able to, you need to go out and look in other places. But I would say another thing is that people want to hire a great marketer. People want to have a great VP of engineering, great product person, but you're not doing the job either. I recommend that you have to go out there and look for people online, find them, meet them, go out for coffee, because they're not going to show up on your doorstep.
That's a really important thing that you didn't to dig into is people want to hire person X or person Y, but the same thing applies to hiring is you have to do the work to find the person. Same way as that candidate has to do the work to get found, you have to actually go and do the work to find them. Versus, we got a job posting and this person's going to
waiting for someone to come in. It's not going to happen. And if you are a young DG in training and you want to have the same trajectory, you got to put in the work. You got to remain humble. Most people fail at that, and so they'll stall out. Almost everyone does. And then the third one is you'll have to put yourself in the right company that is growing and has the right set of people there, because if you put yourself in a high growth situation, then the company is going to pull you as you continue to grow into bigger and bigger roles. And that's usually how it happens. And again, this is for fast growing companies. Every company that I've been a part of, like there's almost a neg thing that I've noticed lately, which is like the people who usually ask, and this is only in high growth companies, the people who usually ask for a promotion, when's my next thing, what's this, who are always asking are, for me, in my limited experience, have been 100% the people who are not ready to go to the next level. The people who are, and that's just a sign, the people who have naturally continued to grow fast it's because they've been executing so well and they're in those fast growing environments that if you're in that environment, you're going to be desperate to pull someone, like, someone help me. Like, you'll be like, if someone has the capability, you're going to pull them to help you, right? Because you're drowning in those environments, right? But that's for fast growing companies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading Blitzscaling right now, Reed's book, and it's just amazing. I think it's highly recommended for people that
tell people the book, the full book.
Blitzscaling.
Reed Hoffman,
founder of LinkedIn.
He says, how do you go from 0 to 1, not from 0 to 1, from 0 to 1 billion, right? And it's like so exciting, but it just lays out the treasure map, right? That the growth, you go from a family to a tribe to a village to a city to a nation, and how people have to grow within that trajectory. And so he spells it out. So for any young people there, go read that so you realize what happens. Some people move up, some people have to take a different tour duty, and then some people have to go into another company. It's laid out what the normal paths that happen, and you just have to put in the work and see if you're growing at the right pace with the company.
Yeah, when you're experiencing it, it doesn't feel normal, especially if you don't have, because you don't have an experience, you don't have context of being in that situation. But that book is a good one to remind you. There are others, but that one's really good at reminding you, like, if you're in that situation, this is normal. Like, it's going to be normal for some people to go up, some people to take different tours, as Elias said, and for some people to figure out it's not the right environment for them anymore because the company has become a nation when it was a village before.
How do we close this, and how to find a great marketer that connects with the audience? People like hearing from. Where would you find another DC?
Yeah, I would go.
I mean, look.
You're saying I should go find another DG?
Go find another DG.
If he's going to spend most of his time in Europe,
he's traveling Europe.
I need someone to record podcasts like consistently.
We need a consistent. I need a system. I need a checklist.
What I would do is I would go find. So you find someone who has a side project.
By the way,
people.
It's so much. This is what we haven't talked about. It's so much easier today. When you guys did it 10 years ago, it was not as easy as it was today. You have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have Twitter, you have all these channels that can connect you to anybody where you can get found. I think almost 10 years ago, you almost did have to go to an event, even though that's what DC's like. That's not what he's saying. Like, it's much harder today. Anybody can be a creator, and so if you're especially in your marketing, if you're not creating something that people can find publicly, like we talk to candidates all the time, and they send in. I say, hey, can you send me over some of your stuff? And they don't have it.
I haven't done that yet, and so that's why I'm constantly sifting through stuff, as Elias would say, that I'm constantly just tweeting. I'm looking at Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on everything, and I'm trying to find people, like I'm collecting people to find like who could be the next great person at whatever, because they're actually doing it right now. And as DG said, most of the time, someone will come in and be like, I want to do social media. And then I'll look and they'll have 20 followers. And it's like, you're not doing it now. Yeah. I want to be a videographer like the boy G2 here. Do you have any videos? No, I don't have any videos. You're just like, what? What are you talking about? Like, people are doing it already. So I would look for people who are doing it already first. Then I would look for that hunger. Do they come from that background? Do they have that hunger? Do they have the humility? And do they have, as Elias would say, charisma? A little charisma there, a little X factor. It helps. A little X factor.
You also need to, like, from the other side of this, you have to surround yourself by people who are going to push you. Like that is, everybody says that, but I think very few people believe that, because to be pushed is painful, right? And so people
can tell you about that.
People say, I want to be pushed. I want to be around people that are going to help me grow. That's not true. The common, like, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend your time with, whatever, right? But I think when actually push comes to shove, people don't. When you get in that situation, it is uncomfortable. But if you can have the mindset of, this is like I said to you both this morning, I said I have a ultimate humility check, which is both of you keep me very humble.
It's amazing.
But the same thing is, it's always painful, but I always get better.
And DC keeps me humble too.
Yeah,
he won't let me, like, the ego grow.
You still can't go
Who's
out.
keeping the DC humble though?
Myself.
That's a good point.
Her name is Lise. Yeah, she's at my house.
No,
Elias,
CJ,
yeah, and my
you.
daughter. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm on the bottom at home.
So if you want that opportunity, you have to be
the dog.
You have to be willing to take. You have to be willing to get it, right? It's the same advice like about working out or whatever any other analogy there is. So
absolutely. So that's the way you would go about finding it. Right. Go look for people who are creating already. Mm-hmm. It's clear if you're marketing it. That's easy. 2, look for people that have hunger. 3, people that are willing to put in the work, so they have the work ethic. 4, that it factor, and 5, have that level of humility. And so that's how you do it. You know what rhymes with 5?
6.
6, exactly, 6 stars. So what rhymes with 5 is 6. And so please leave a 6-star rating. We've seen an uptick, but I've noticed most of those 6-star ratings, are for the young Maggie Crowley, director of product here at Drift, bringing some fire. DG is getting a little worried, so please drop some 6-star ratings for him.
Let me play you
put him on.
Let me play you a clip from.
So I'm here at SaaStock, and you guys had some comments about the Apple rating systems. It doesn't work. 5 stars?
No.
How many?
6 stars only, right?
6 stars.
That's amazing.
See that even in Europe they know.
Vienna. They were from Vienna.
Even in Vienna they have good judgment, right? 6 stars only. Thank you for joining us. Let us know if Elias should ever make it back for number 4. We are not sure.
And check
yet.
this out. We are back next week.
On a
we're
schedule?
talking about thinking fast and slow.
Okay.
I'm
But will we
teasing.
be on a schedule?
We're on a
Elias?
schedule.
What is the commitment? Every day, every Monday? At what time? We're gonna have a new episode.
We will have a new. This is hot. This is getting hot right now. We have a new Seeking Wisdom episode every Monday. By the time you wake up, it goes out Sunday night when midnight changes. Okay,
East Coast time.
East Coast time.
DG, we're global. This is a global podcast.
I'm on European time, so for my European brethren,
GMT. He's talking GMT.
All right, we're out
see ya.
here.